All right. Please, if you can share me, use the comment section. I want to be very sure that you can hear me loud and clear. I don't want to talk to myself. So please feel free to use the chat box. If you can hear me, just say, yeah, I can hear you, or react. All right. I want to be sure that you can hear me at all. Yeah. Great. 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 Fantastic. We have less than an hour to do this, and I really want us to do it like as fast as possible. Um, so, good evening once again. My name is Temidayo Adefiyoye. Uh, I'm super excited to have you guys here this evening. I've been waiting for this time, this moment, and I'm happy that it's coming to reality. And yeah, finally. Oh, we still have people coming in. This is interrupting. Okay, let me admit more people, and after which I might have to stop admitting. All right, it's distracting. Okay, great. Yeah, my name is Timida Adefoye. I'm a LinkedIn learning instructor. I love sharing knowledge, and one of the things I love to do when I'm not coding is to just create courses, write books. More importantly, not just to what do you call it now? Just not just to have like traction for myself, but I just want to share knowledge with people, and this is why I am doing this. I mean, today I want to give back to the ecosystem. I want more professionals to get to a point where they are able to, monetize their skills, right? Your knowledge, right? Everyone learns something at one point or the other in their lives, right? And then you want to be able to monetize this along the line, right? So yeah, that me. Apart from creating courses and adding value to the ecosystem, I also am the founder of Talentvo. We solve the work experience problem in Africa and beyond, right? So we help talents to build quality portfolio for job opportunities within, I mean, Nigeria and abroad, right? So today, the point of today is to have a conversation around course creation, and I'm very sure that most of you you've tried really hard to hack this. You have been asking yourself, when am I going to write my course? When am I going to create that one special book? You have the draft in your drive, but you don't know when you want to push it on. You haven't even written anything at all. Today that has to change, right? Starting from today, it has to change because there are rules guiding, I mean, course creation or book creation, right? It starts from you. And I want to share 6 commandments, and I'll do this real quick. I'm going to be sharing different stories, personal experiences to reinforce these commandments, right? These tips are dear to me. I have tried, the 6, and then they work, right? These are just personal things that I've done for myself, and I felt, well, I think it would be nice to share this with professionals around the world. So, first and first, you want to know is that you have to start. I've had conversations with different people where they want to start something, but they're overthinking. You are asking yourself too many questions. What if people don't like it? What if people would not read the book? What if people would love my voice? Things like that. You have to start from somewhere, and it begins with taking that actionable step, right? It's okay to dream and to have the vision in your mind and all of that. You have the plans mapped out in your mind, but that's not what gives the result. It's the action that gets you the result, right? So you don't know what you can do. You don't know your capacity until you've tried. So it's important that you don't overthink too much. You just start with the most simplest thing. I mean, down to just writing an article. That's a way of you starting, right? You need to start from somewhere. And for me personally, I started with Medium. I started writing in 2018 thereabout. My first article, I went back to it recently. I'm like, no way. This is actually, I don't know how people reacted to the book, to the article, but it looked boring to me. But yeah, people still reacted, right? They loved it. They clapped for me and all of that, just to encourage me. I know that first article was about Flutter. It was at a time that Flutter released their framework. So I thought, okay, let me read about Flutter and then write, something on that. And yeah, that was the first move. And along the line, I just learned different things. I made some mistakes. I made some very silly mistakes down to, I remember when I went to go and copy somebody's content somewhere, and the lady reached out to me. I was meant to go for a conference, and she told me that I copied her content, I mean, word for word. And then she reported me to the conference organizers, like two organizers like that. And she reported me. I mean, I was still learning. I didn't know that plagiarism was a big thing, right? I just thought, okay, let me just pick content online and just find a way to spice it up and make it mine. But it was horrible. I mean, I could not go for the conference because the lady had reported me, and then they said, sorry, I won't be able to speak at the conference. And that was when I realized that plagiarism was a big thing. And ever since that time, I dread that thing. Like, I don't want to be a part of this again. So I've made my mistakes. I mean, from just starting, I made my mistakes, and I've learned from there, right? And that's the thing. If you don't start, you don't know how you are going to navigate the road. But you have to start from somewhere. As I said, stop overthinking, start. Regardless of the draft, just start. That's it. Number two is you are writing for real people. You don't have to. You're the same way you have conversations with your friends. You should be able to have that kind of conversation with your readers, right? Don't try to create a different impression of yourself, on paper when that's not you, right? I remember when I wrote my first script, I shared that with the producer at LinkedIn. I told her that, okay, I have this script, and she should just read through, let me know what she thinks and all of that. And then yeah, she said we had a conversation. I mean, on a call. I mean, we had a chat. I didn't know it was intentional. She just said, "Oh, can we have a conversation on Zoom, over Zoom and let's just chat." And then she said that she heard my voice. She heard the way I had a conversation with her, and it was sort of different from the tone I used in writing the script. And I had to rework the script entirely, right? So you're writing for real people. You have to just be yourself. Have conversations with friends. The same way you have conversations with friends. You should be able to converse. Just that there are different tones, depending on the nature of the book or the content you're creating. So the point is, just be yourself. Don't try to overpackage yourself. Don't try to impress anybody that, oh, I have a different personality when it comes to writing and all of that. You are writing to somebody. So the same way you will have conversations with your friend on WhatsApp, the way you chat and all of that, just find a way to make it sound better and then make it fit for content creation. That's all, right? So third thing is your journey is the gold mine. It just means that what you are selling to people is not just very vague thing, very random thing. You are selling your story. You're selling your journey to them. You are telling them something more practical, not just random, not something vague. You're telling them stories, personal experiences, right? I'm not just telling them that here are 5 tips, without telling stories. You have to tell your stories. So every single step of your life, you have to take note of those events, those moments, so that when it's time for you to write books, those stories will come in very handy. So people say that it's nice to journal. Yes, it is, because you would need some of those stories in your book, right? People will not read any random books, and they will not listen to boring things, right? You should be able to tell practical stories. So your journey is very important. Share that with people in your content, right? Whether it's book writing or course creation, basically. Next thing I want to talk about is you learn as you go, like pay as you go, MTN. You learn as you go. There is really nobody that has gotten to that peak a lot of things are evolving, right? The way people listen, the way people interact, the way people, read books, or the way people listen to content, video, audio content. A lot of things have changed already. So you want to be on top of your game, right? And when it comes to course creation and book, there are a lot of dynamics to this. You cannot just come up with a random way and say it's going to work. There are systems in place that you can learn. If you apply those systems, you get traction. If you don't apply them, you get nothing, because you are speaking to learners, and these people want to gain value, but at the same time they want to have fun, right? So you learn as you go. You learn different skills, different strategies. You learn different teaching skills, right? And all of that. So you have to learn as you go. Less can be more. It means that don't start aiming for 500 pages, like a 500-page book. That's a lot. Start from just a short book, maybe 100-page or 50, something very simple that people would read. I know I did a PDF. I wrote a PDF at the time. It was just, I think, 50 pages thereabout. After I'd done, medium articles for a while, so I said, okay, let me try a short book, and I did. At a time, I know I didn't get traction, I didn't get engagement on that, because I was still learning stuff, and I got somebody, a friend of mine, to do the proofreading for me, to help refine it. But the content wasn't that solid as such. But yeah, I released the book regardless. Nobody will come and meet me at home and beat me. I still pushed it. So less can be more. It's about quality, not quantity. You don't have to start saying, it has to be deep, and then you have a lot of pages already. No, just do something very concise and straight to the point. For LinkedIn learning courses, if you look at the catalog, you'll see that most courses are around 45 minutes long, thereabout, or 50 minutes. They encourage us not to. They always tell us that the rule is not to go above an hour. Anything more than 1 hour is overdue. Just do something very short, straight to the point, and let your readers enjoy your content, right? So for most of my LinkedIn courses, they are somewhere around 45 minutes, 50 minutes, long, because that's the rule. As I said, there are a lot of systems in place that you have to just learn, and that would help you deliver quality in a very short time. Yeah. Believe in your work. You have to be the first believer. You have to start with yourself. I know that you are waiting for your friends to hype you, to support you. The reality is that sometimes, at the early stage, you can be alone, right? You can be alone. Except you have friends that are very supportive. If you're just a loner, an introverted person, you just be writing books and then reading yourself and hyping yourself. But then the point is, you have to believe in yourself, believe in your work, that, I love this. How can I improve, going forward? How can I make this better? If I write the next one, what can I do differently, right? Get feedback from people. And this is very, very important. Get feedback from friends, get feedback from your community. If you have a community, if you have followers, just ask them what they think about your book. But at the same time, even if you don't get correct, proper feedback, just believe me, you have to be your number one hype man, right? So I don't want to just give too many tips in this session. I want to go more practical. I want to show you a few things about my previous work that would inspire you to want to take your step, like now. The goal is to start now, and that's why we're having this conversation. So first thing first, I had my experience with LinkedIn Learning. That was 3 years ago. Someone just reached out to me. I'd worked with the person in the past from Pluralsight. So we worked together at Pluralsight. I was a subject matter expert for them. I had to create courses. I created what do you call it, assessment, skill assessment for them for different technical skills, right? Android and all of that. So I had worked with the person, and then she moved to LinkedIn Learning, and then she said, hey, tell me that there's one opportunity at LinkedIn Learning. They are looking for an instructor to help create a course on Floater. I said, oh, okay, sounds like an interesting stuff, right? And I picked that up. That was my first attempt of, creating an audio visual, course, right, on LinkedIn. And the fact that they have a system, it just makes it very, very interesting that you don't have to be an expert. They will guide you on what to do. That's the thing. That's the interesting thing about these guys. They have a structure in place. They will guide you on the kind of conversations, the way you should talk, the way you should pass the message, the way you should write your script, the things that you should not do. They give you all the things that you need for that. So, for LinkedIn, I did that I did like 3 courses with them. I've done for Meta as well. I did a course for them as well through Coursera. So all of these opportunities came from referral. That's the interesting thing. And I think I've told people several times that things like this, they don't publicize these opportunities, right? They are just based on referrals. Oh, you've worked with somebody before, the person enjoyed your work, and they will just recommend you for the opportunity, right? And that's why I'm trying to build this community as well. If we are able to help one another to grow and then to get the recommendation that you need, right, for your next course, I'm happy to do that, right? So the next thing I want to talk about is the 3 courses I've done with them. They are mostly technical courses anyways. I did one, Introduction to Dart, that was released in 2022, I think so, yeah. And then I did another one in 2023. That was Dart Clean Code, and AI was last year. I did AI and developer productivity last year. So how did I come up with all of these topics? First thing first, I had to do my research. I went to the LinkedIn Learning catalog to see what's different there, what does not exist, and I reached out to the manager and said, hey, I have some course title ideas. How can we make this happen? And then she came back to me and said, LinkedIn approved Introduction to Dart because we don't have anything like that on our catalog. And so that's the thing. If you're going to create a course, you need to do your research. That's the first thing. You want to find out on the platform, what are the courses that they have at the moment? What can I do differently to position myself? Because some of these platforms don't like authors competing. So they always want to have unique content. So for example, Introduction to Dart, for instance, is a very unique course on its own. They would not want another author to do the same thing, because that will eat into your revenue and your royalty. So I love the fact that on LinkedIn Learning, there is really no competition like that. You are not competing with anybody. Unlike Udemy is a very aggressive marketplace. That place, you have to fight for your life. They can literally slash your course fee down to 80%, and it's ridiculous, right? So you have to be on top of a game if you're going to survive on Udemy. So that's why I've never had to do anything on Udemy, because I don't want to do that kind of competition. I don't want to be a part of that. But if you are someone who is very aggressive and you are ready to grind, then Udemy is the place to be. But if you are a soft person, you want to keep your steez, right? Then do your LinkedIn Learning. But by the way, the goal is to look for different sources, right, of making money, right? So Udemy it's okay to publish on Udemy. As I said, you have to work really hard to position yourself as a top author. But when it comes to LinkedIn Learning, you get your money anyways. So the other one I've done is That Clean Code. I did that one after the first one. So you can do series. That's an interesting thing. So if you have a series, you can share that with the manager, and they can spread the courses across. So let's say that you want to do one this year, and this one is part 1. Then you do another one, part 2, part 3. It can be a series, right? And they actually encourage authors to do something like that. So when your learner is wrapping up one course, they will lead them to the next one and to the next one, like that. So as I said, first thing you want to do is to research as much as possible. You cannot afford to want to lose that opportunity, and that was one of the things I did that just made me stand out during that search. Yeah. So the other part of my life is writing books. I've done three major books as well: Path Unbound, The Technical Business Equilibrium, and Ultimate Floater for Cross Platform. So how did I get these opportunities? First thing is I did my proposal, right? And I reached out to several publishers, right, in the US, in the UK, India, and of course, the first thing you want to do is you want to research about the publisher if they have any bad history with a an author, right? So you want to know that, oh, you are safe, you are in the good, you are in good hands, right? So I did that and I wrote my proposal. I reached out to them. I said, hey, I have this course, I have this book, and I would love them to be the publisher and all of that. And then we had a meeting and discussed the plan and all of that, right? And yeah, I was able to get those based on my research and then just reaching out, sending cold emails and all of that. So except for one, I did self-publishing. That's Path Unbound. I did that myself. I wanted to try self-publishing. I wanted to compare self-publishing and having to do that with a company. So they are we have the pros and cons basically. So the pro of having to publish with an international publisher is the fact that you get more visibility. They make, like, your name is literally everywhere on the internet. They have very nice marketing strategy and all of that, right? But then when it comes to royalty, that's where the problem is. They literally just give you like maybe 12% or something of the royalty, and that's not enough for an author, right? It's small, but yeah, which is why they tell people that when it comes to book writing, if you are doing it if you are publishing with a foreign company or local publisher, it's not really profitable compared to self-publishing. You get all the money to yourself, but then you have to now plan your marketing strategy. So what are the pros of having to publish yourself? Number one, you are in charge. You're in charge of the design, you're in charge of the branding, you're in charge of the marketing, you're in charge of everything. So it's now your job to sell. You have to sell yourself. You have to learn how to sell. So if you don't know how to do that, the self-publishing is not for you. But if you are very curious, you're just curious to know how things work, you just want to try something new, then self-publishing is a good place to explore. So I did that with a team. I had an editor for self-publishing. I had a designer. I also, of course, had to sell myself, like push and push and push. We had to publish on Amazon as well, which is very daunting. I don't know how those guys are. I don't know why they're always giving people problems like that. They have a very strict rule when it comes to publishing. So it took us some time to figure out their rules, the do's and don'ts when it comes to their the cover page, the content itself. So we're having back and forth, right? But then finally, we made it happen. So the other side of self-publishing is visibility. So if you're just starting and you're doing self-publishing, you might not get that reach that you're looking for, except you have a network already or a community of people who buy into your idea. You might not really get that visibility. So the question is that which one actually gave me the most visibility? Is it self-publishing or publishing with like a company, like a publisher, right? An external publisher. Well, I would say I got the visibility on Google search when I did collaboration with an international publisher. So it gave me more credibility. I didn't have to do too much. I didn't have to do a lot of SEO optimization and all of that. They did everything for me, and so it made my content, my other services more visible to people. It helps my credibility and all of that. So I'll speak about that as we proceed. So next thing is the meta course. So this one, I did this one in 2022, sometime in is it July? So this one, I didn't even see this one coming. Someone just reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, okay, we're seeing your work with LinkedIn Learning and all of that. And they want to have a conversation regarding a gig. Yeah. And then I said, okay, why not? Let's have a chat. I didn't even know it was a meta project. And that was actually one of my biggest projects, ever. And the HR said, okay, let's have a call with the team, and we discussed the scope of the project, with everything. I had to sign the agreement first before disclosing to me that, oh, it's actually a meta project, and then they have like different teams across Nigeria working on different stuff at the same time, simultaneously, right? So it means that the experience I had with course creation at LinkedIn Learning gave me that leverage to be able to convince these people that I actually have the experience to create scripts. So that's another side of course creation. Sometimes you are not the person holding the microphone, right? Some other days you are just writing the script. And so that was what happened with Meta. So they had their team, they had their one of their team members, right, at Meta, one of their employees, to speak. So we just wrote the script for the person. So I was just a script writer, but then because I have engineering background, it was easy peasy, right? So as I said, there are different components of content creation that you might want to explore everything at once, but when there's an opportunity to pick up one of these components, you can just jump on it. Example, at the time I needed to write what do you call this thing again? I needed to write something for LinkedIn. So they wanted us to write their questions for skill verification. Most of you must have seen that on their platform, where they ask you to verify your skill by answering some questions. So that was what I did for them. So they said, okay, can you help us write questions for front end Android development and all of that? So anybody that picks Android, they would push those questions to them and all of that. It was a very interesting experience because I learned different things about skill assessment and what it means to ask people questions, things like that. It was a different space entirely. So there are different components. So you just have to pick what works for you, and you can choose to learn everything. You can choose to learn how to write scripts, but I would recommend that you learn everything. So the days that you're not using microphone to speak, you're literally writing scripts for someone else to do the work, right? Because we have experts, people who have been trained to stand in front of camera and just speak, but they have the script. So let me just tell you guys, most of the courses that you see on Coursera and Co, the person speaking is different from the person that wrote the script. Just to let you know, some of them don't know anything about coding. They cannot write a single line of code, right? Or some of them don't know anything about design. Some of them don't know anything about marketing. They know nothing about it. But yeah, they are very good when it comes to presentation, when it comes to standing in front of camera and speak and all of that. But then they have people, they call them subject matter experts, writing the script. These guys know the in and out of the industry, and they can write for you. And that was what I did with Meta, right? Meta course. Okay. What does the impact looks like right now? Yeah, just by searching the name alone, it just changed everything. Now you can see it on Google Books, and you can see the name on Google Books. Searching is now very easy. When people want to share opportunities with me, they literally go on search to find out if I exist, right? And then they come back and say, oh, seems like you have a very nice visibility, right? The interesting thing about content course creation is you don't have to be an influencer. You don't have to have 100,000 followers really to do this, right? The goal is own the craft. Just know it. Once you know it, people who need your service will reach out to you by DM, basically, right? And that was what happened to me. I think I had about 2,000 followers or so on LinkedIn. So it didn't really matter to anybody. But in the DM, a lot of things were happening. So I know that my followers will not pay me. I'll just be sharing content with them all the time. They will not pay me a dime, except I want to be an influencer and they start selling. Like, I'll now turn my followers to products, then start running ads on my page. That's the only thing. But where the money came from was through DM. These guys, they didn't have to like my content, right? They just saw it somewhere and they reached out to me. And that's what content creation or course creation does to you. They love your stuff. They see the value you're adding to the ecosystem, and then they go ahead to send you a DM Some of them, they don't even follow you at all. Some of them don't follow you at all. They just reach out and then you close the deal. Very simple, right? So, I mean, I have the visibility here on Google search, and it just helps other things that I do basically. If I want to do any course creation again now, someone will definitely reach out to me. But, I mean, it's always DM conversation and all of that. They don't promote because it's hard to find people who are actually experts in these things. So they rather rely on your content and the things they've seen, and then have further chat with you. But they don't do call for application and say, hey, come and apply. So yeah, these are the LinkedIn courses. I get this is 4.7 rating on one of my courses. And before, I remember when I first published this course, I was so scared that I hope they will not give me 2 point something. Like, I was just thinking about it, like, I mean, this is my first time of doing this thing, or am I sure I won't get 2.0? But then here we are, 4.7, and it just keeps going up, and getting engagement and all of that. So 4.7 is a good rating, yeah, right there. I know I have, I think there's another one there, 4.6. I think there's one more course, that's 3 courses on LinkedIn Learning. Yeah, straight to the next thing, so that I can wrap up this side, and I can ask you guys, or you can ask me questions basically, right? What does it look like right now for my LinkedIn account? So I have a dashboard where I get insight into everything happening on my account. So as a LinkedIn instructor, I have about, that's over like, around 10,000 plus learners, right, on across all my courses, right? So one is 2000 and that's 2022. The other one is 2023, and then last one I did was AI and developer productivity. So and it keeps growing. It keeps growing every single time. I mean, every day I get more learners, just like that. So the other part is, so how do you make money with LinkedIn? First thing is, LinkedIn runs something called royalty model, where they share revenue with you. So before I started my first course, they told me that they were going to give me $4,000. I think, yeah, $4,000 thereabouts. Yeah. And I got the first $4,000 upfront. That, don't worry, just take this one and enjoy. And then so I had to create the course and everything. But then the 4,000 was split into two. The first half before I started off, and then the second half after I'd published, right? So the second course, they gave me the same thing, $4,000 for that. Interestingly, for the third one, they increased it by $2,000. That's 6,000. So I was offered $6,000 the third time. So I'd done like 4,000 the first and second, and then 6,000 the other one. And so they give me 12% royalty. So the way it works is that they give you the money in advance, and then you pay back from your revenue, right? And so once you are done paying, they now go back and then do some calculations and then start paying you your royalties on a monthly basis. But the goal is to finish paying back that advance. So they call it advance, royalty advance. So that's how LinkedIn operates. It's very interesting. I love that model because you don't have to create courses and be, you're angry that I'm just creating content and there's nothing. You have money in place, and you just enjoy that one and then create your courses, right? I remember the third course I did last year. I had an issue with power in my house. I'm like, okay, I started this thing and I needed to roll out as fast as possible. I told my producer, I said, okay, I'm having issues with power supply here. And she said, okay, well, how much time do I need and all of that? And that's the thing. They are very flexible and very understanding. They know that, Africa, we always have power issues and all of that. So I had to go to an hotel. I stayed there for like 3-4 days, thereabout, to create the course because I had power issues. So the thing about being an author or being an instructor is proactiveness. You can't afford to drop the balls because they actually have timelines for all of these things. And if you flop the first time, they might not get back to you again the second time, So the fact that I'm able to do 3 courses on LinkedIn just means that the first time I got great feedback from my producer, from my manager. They reached out to me and said, "Oh, you did an incredible job," and blah blah blah. The second time, the same thing, the same feedback, a different producer this time around. And then the third course, it just makes sense that you are proactive. You are not giving stories that, "Oh, I'm having issues for that reason, I cannot finish," and you've collected 2K. You've collected 2K, so you can't afford to drop the ball all the time. You have to be very proactive. Think about what would happen if you don't do this thing as fast as possible. Just think about the implication. Right. So, okay. Let me see. Yeah, for Meta, this is what we have for Meta. As I said, that was like my biggest deal. I did about 30,000 euros from there because it was Meta, anyways. They had money, they had plenty of money to share around. So I negotiated, anyways. That was how I got this. I remember that they were going to use, let me confirm if I'm still here. Okay, 15 minutes. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I remember that they told me that I needed to, they were going to pay me in Naira, and because I was based in Nigeria, I said, why? Why is that? Like, why? I was wondering. They said that one of their contacts in South Africa said that the current wage in Nigeria was 300K per month, thereabout. I'm like, sorry, I'm a Nigerian, but it doesn't mean that you can treat me like that. No. So I didn't have to tell them that I had 20 years of experience. I just told them that I've done something for LinkedIn before. I've done something for Prototype before. These guys paid me as high as $5,000, $6,000, and then you are here telling me that 300K. Are you joking? And I said, I'm gonna charge you per hour, and that was what I did. So she came back and said, "Oh, sorry, we apologize for that. But okay, so let's have a conversation." And then I negotiated $22.5 euros per hour. So every month it was somewhere around like 6,000 euros thereabouts, or 5,000 euros. I did like 5 months thereabouts. So it was like a big deal for me because I didn't expect that. I'm like, just to write script alone. So what will happen if I hold the microphone? It was a big deal. And like, that's the thing, most people don't know that these side gigs pay you a lot, because we have very few people who have experience in this space. Someone is raising their hand, or what? I would answer questions. Just don't worry, I'll answer questions. Just hold on, please. I have one more thing to share. Before I share this part, I have one free LinkedIn Learning premium account to give out, but I don't know what we can do with that. But yeah, I'll probably come back to this. Let's see who's gonna win that. Yeah. So to wrap up this conversation, I have an advanced program I'm going to run. This time you are going to be working on your proposal, right? So I have a few companies that might be interested in new authors, right? So I want to work with authors that might be interested in writing their first book, or you want to create your first course. But yeah, I would have to work with you to tell you the kind of topics that you should consider, because everywhere is saturated right now. There are so much to write about, and then maybe to create courses around, but you don't want to do that. I know LinkedIn, they have specific courses or titles or topics they are looking forward to this year. I'll be sharing that with you. So that's the thing. You are working on the project. You are working on your what's the name? Your course creation proposal. You are working on your book itself, right? The draft of your book, the first book you want to write, and we can look at the draft together. We can, just proofread, and maybe get an editor for you to sit with you to refine it. But then when it comes to the structure, I'll show you how you're going to do that. I'll share some templates with you, the ones I've used in the past, like some templates that I used in the past for some of these companies. I'll share that with this in doing this advanced program, right? This would also help you, start your journey. But as I said, it's all about you. It's about your ability to take that first step. If you don't take the first step, you don't know what's going to happen. As I said, you don't need that prior experience as an expert to write your first book or to create your first course. If you're going to write on LinkedIn, for example, they won't ask you that how many years of experience you have in this thing, except for AI related courses. I mean, I'm talking about core AI. Let's say you want to teach someone machine learning or something. They may want to ask you that, oh, do you have an experience in this? But other than that, you are free to create your content as long as you have a proper and a solid portfolio proposal. That's all you need. And so for every company, they have their own unique proposal. And I think I still have access to the one for LinkedIn to show you the template ahead of time. And then for the very few people that want to write, or you want to write your own book this year and then you want to publish it, we can do that together. For people who want to create their first course, right, I'll tell you how you can reach out to the likes of Pluralsight. I know they accept new authors to create courses on their platform. They do royalties as well. They offer royalties. For LinkedIn Learning, I still have like some contacts there. We can have a conversation. But then this is still based on the quality of your proposal, right? To write your first stuff. You don't have to be an expert, as I said. But then there has to be depth in whatever thing that I said. What makes your content stand out? What makes your course unique? That would give you a leverage when you're having a chat with the manager in charge, right? I think it would be nice for me to hear from you. Let me hear from you guys. Do you have any questions? Just raise your hand and I will unmute you. Please just raise your hand first before you speak. Just raise your hand. If you have any question, I can call your name and ask you to step up before we have like less than 9 minutes to wrap up here. Any question? Okay, so let's start with Bello, and then whoever is going to ask the question next, please get ready for that. Yeah, Bello, please shoot. You can unmute yourself. Are you there?
Hello.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
please.
good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. I can hear you. Good evening. Yeah.
Apologies for my noisy background. I'm on my way home.
All right, no problem. Let's go.
Just a quick question. Does this whole writing, conspiration, and all of that, does it like one? I know you've rightly said that one does not need prior experience and all of that, but is it limited to like specific areas or any area at all can
Okay.
write and do all of that?
Okay, so the first thing you want to ask yourself is what are you good at? Like, what's your area of interest? Is it marketing? Is it design? Is it engineering? Is it social media? Is it, just name it, right? Anything. You can create content around anything. That's for LinkedIn. LinkedIn Learning is not limited to technical content. You can literally write, like, create a course around marketing. You can create a course around social media. You can create a course around engineering, design, product management, anything, right? As long as the skill is in demand right now. That's another thing. If the skill is in high demand right now, then you should write something around that because people will be looking for it. All right, Toby Loba, please, you're next. Please go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Okay. So, all right. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Thanks for this session. Quite enlightening. Okay, so a very quick one. So, like on the average, like how long does it take to like build a course contents, and then what are the standard of the video? So, is it that you need to create like a mini studio for yourself, and then what about the video editing? So will you be the one to do that, or
Okay.
someone from LinkedIn will do all of that for you?
Oh, okay. Great. Thank you for asking. So for LinkedIn, you don't have to do a video content. You can, so they'll send you an audio kit from the US, and then you'll have to be in a very quiet place and then record your voice, and they will ask you to create your slides as well. And then they have something called a production team. They are in charge of editing, post production, and all of that. Your job is just to put your voice on the slides, and that's all. Then you hand it over to the production team, and you don't have to worry yourself with what's going to happen after, right? So it's just easy peasy. You don't have to stress yourself. Editing is a lot of work, so you don't want to dabble into that. The same thing for, I think, for plural sites, you have to do the editing yourself. That's what makes LinkedIn different from Pluralsight. Pluralsight will tell you that you have to go all out, but then they have a higher royalty. They pay you more than LinkedIn. LinkedIn will pay you 12% because it is they do the post production for you. All right, Toby.
Yes, okay. So, just to ask for that because I've seen some a few courses on LinkedIn that are,
A
both
video,
audiovisual.
yeah.
Okay, so they're actually audiovisual. So, is it that that type of course is quite different? Like there are different kind of courses. Some are audiovisual wise, some are audio but slides.
Oh, okay. So great. So the way it works is that before now, LinkedIn usually fly their instructor to the US for recording. But after that COVID period, it was a major concern, right? So they had to devise that means to record remotely. So if you are based in the US or in Canada or in a country very close to the US, you can, I mean, you are free to walk into their studio and do a video production, like a proper production, right? They are happy to do that as long as you are covering the cost of flying to the place, right? But they won't be responsible for that. So right now they're only focused on people who are within the US. They can fly you to their studio, right, within the US. But then anything outside the US, they won't be responsible for your cost of flight. So yeah, that's why you have those kind of contents. Most of them are recorded in their studio, not at home. Yeah. Uh, yes, yes. So I think what we can do is, I know we have more questions to ask. The best thing is to use the WhatsApp, right? We can chat on the WhatsApp, ask like further questions. I'm happy to respond to that. There's a lot more that we need to do together. So this week I will be focused on answering questions, on that WhatsApp group, and maybe dissolve it afterwards, right? But the goal is let me answer all your pressing questions as quick as possible, and you can take that actionable steps. All right. Thank you very much, guys. It was a lovely session. I had a great time with you guys, and we'll take the conversation to WhatsApp. Have a wonderful evening, ladies and gentlemen. And that's a wrap.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the session.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, sir.